So there were these two elderly people living in Florida in a mobile home park. And Bill was a widower, and Edna was a widow. And they knew each other for 4 years, and they'd been dating for 2. And so they had a big community dinner at the activity center, and they sat together as they normally do, and gazing into each other's eyes. He grabbed her hand, held it tightly, looked deep at her, and said, "Will you marry me?" And she said, "Oh, yes, yes, I will." And they danced and celebrated, and the evening culminated in a long embrace and several kisses. Then they went back to their respective residences. Bill woke up the next day, and he was really concerned because he couldn't remember if Edna said yes or no to his proposal. He'd been having some trouble with his memory and was having a hard time recalling certain things. So a little anxiously, he called her and said, "Hi, Edna, I had a wonderful time last night. You know I adore you so much, but I have to admit that my memory isn't as great as it used to be. So last night when I asked you to marry me, did you say yes or did you say no?" And he was glad to hear her say, "Well, I said yes. I said yes, and I meant it with all my heart." And then she continued and said, "I'm so glad that you called, Bill. Because I remember saying yes to getting married. I just couldn't remember who asked me." All right. Okay. So how many people would say that you're living your life to the fullest? Okay, nobody's raising their hands. How many people would admit there's at least one area in your life where you know you could do more, give more, and show up more fully? All right. So how many people are ready for a change in your life to up-level and live at a higher level of vibration of peace, love, and happiness? Amen to that. And so, we're in the final week of our 4-week series on the 1% rule. And the 1% rule really is a goal-setting, success-achieving system that helps us bypass the things that undermine our ability to achieve and have success. The first thing it helps us bypass is the New Year's resolution cycle, where we get all excited about some goal and changing and transforming life, and then 2 weeks later, we've lost our momentum, and a month later, we can't even remember what goals we set. And then the second thing is the myths and fantasies that we think about success. We think success is highlight reel stuff. You got to make $1 billion. You got to be the president of the company. You got to hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth kind of stuff. But we think success is big and only big. Second one is that we think that success is instantaneous. That we could just have overnight success. We're all waiting to hit it big. And then the third one is that there's a perfect time. And we're waiting for that perfect time to get started towards our goal. And the final one is that everything should go the way we planned. When we don't, we just kind of fall apart. When you think about it, all success really begins with a clear vision. A clear vision and intention that really kind of lights us up and gets us moving. It just jazzes us. It's something connected to our heart and our soul that we have a lot of passion for. And the other thing about a vision, it should be clear, it should be something that's ours, not what we think other people think we should have. But the third one is we should have at least one vision or goal that just kind of stretches us and makes us a little nervous and scared. A little bigger than we'd even sometimes let ourselves believe that we could do or have or achieve. Sometimes you got to dream big. It pushes and it stretches our faith. It pushes the edge of what our belief is to help us, expand into more life than we sometimes would allow ourselves to have. Walt Disney would dream big. He wanted an amusement park where everyone in the world could come and enjoy, and he called it the happiest place on earth. That was his vision, big. Thomas Edison had a big one. He wanted to create simple electricity to give light that would change society, and he did. And I'm giving those big examples not to say they have to be that big, but it has to be something big for you, something that stretches you and expands you, that pushes you and brings out more in you. And so the process of the 1% rule are 3 things. One is to trust the process. To do the daily activities and steps towards your goal consistently. It's proven. You don't have to hit a home run all the time. It's just about consistently doing the things that need to be done and doing it, trusting the process that it'll work. Like a farmer trusts that when he plants a seed and waters it, there's going to be growth. A farmer isn't thinking, geez, I hope I want to try and make corn overnight. It's like, just like we want to have a instant success and overnight success, that's just not healthy and realistic. First one is trust the process, do the work consistently. Second one is to celebrate your success. That if you did 5 more push-ups, if you made 10 more calls, if you said no and set a good boundary for the first time, celebrate those selves. Acknowledge yourself for the good work you're doing. We sometimes just wait till the end when it's over to be happy and celebrate. No, celebrate yourself now. And you know why that's good? Because it gives us juice and motivation and energy to continue on. Harvard Business School did a study, and it said that the number one thing that motivates people is progress. When you see a little progress and improvement, it drives you to keep going. And the third one is to fall in love with the process. Stop making it a fantasy of how easy success could be. The reality is it takes work, it takes consistent effort, and sometimes you're going to run into adversity, and accept that and enjoy that process, and then you'll enjoy it along the way and not just wait till the end to be happy. So today we're going to wrap up with 3 things that we can do to help us rule the 1% rule. And the first one is to learn how to get there. When we get excited at the beginning, the number one showstopper that deflates our enthusiasm is thinking, so how do I get there? What do I do? Where do I start? Even when we have a clear vision, the biggest thing that intimidates us is, how do I go from here to there? What are the steps I need to take? And sometimes we get so caught up in the logistics and the details, we feel overwhelmed. We start second-guessing ourselves and doubting ourselves, and we end up not only procrastinating, but freezing. And that inactivity is one of the main things that kills our dreams. Do you know not knowing how can either be an anchor that'll weight you down, or it can be a catalyst that will drive you? And so you don't have to know everything all at once, but you do need to at least do something at once. And one of the best ways to do that is just chunk it down. Instead of seeing your vision all the way, chunk it down to 90 days. And ask yourself, for your vision, what would need to happen in the next 90 days for me to feel I'm really making progress? Think of your dream. In 90 days from now, what would need to happen for you to feel like, I'm making progress? And he says just do 3 simple things. Have a 90-day outcome. His was make $35,000 in 90 days. Second one is figure out a 90-day process. His was to make 2,500 calls and leads. That was his process. And then the 1% process was to make 27 calls a day. And then another one he had for his fitness, and that was his 90-day goal was to do the Spartan Beast. Anybody know what the Spartan Beast is? It's a 13-mile with lots of obstacles to test your endurance. So that was his goal. His process was to go to the gym 3 times a week and to take 2 long hikes a week. And then his daily was to do 1 activity, lifting weights, biking, whatever, and have a good diet. Another one could be a 90-day relationship outcome. And it would be to feel more closeness and connection with your partner in 90 days. The process would be like 6 date nights in that period and 1 trip that is an experience. And then the 1%, the absolute necessary every single day, that one thing would be trying to express creative appreciation to your partner every day. Find a way to express your appreciation of your partner. It could be a spiritual 90-day outcome of feeling more inner peace and less stress. The process would be wake up 15 minutes earlier, and then the 1% daily activity every single day would be meditate for 10 minutes. One of the things is we look at it at such a large scale, but we need to just break it down. We need to start simple, but really we need to just simply start. Just starting and getting moving, and things will begin to happen. Einstein said, nothing happens till something moves. Something has to move first. The details and the other stuff will come, but just get moving. You remember that Indiana Jones movie where there was this big chasm between, where he was and where he wanted to be? And then the way he did it, he had to take a step out, even though there was nothing there. And when he put his step foot out, then a support and a step came out. It's actually the same thing with Moses. You remember at the Red Sea, they were there thinking that Pharaoh's men were going to come and get them. The sea only parted after Moses put his foot in the water. And sometimes you got to put your foot in the water, and then the thing will happen. If you start, God will begin to show you the way and guide you and show you the next step. You don't need to know all steps. You just need to know the next one and take it, and more will be revealed to you as you go. And sometimes it'll change our courses. Sometimes we'll go in a place where we didn't expect we would, but it brought us great fulfillment. Let me give you some examples. Anybody know what YouTube was before it was YouTube? It was a dating website. And then they realized through their feedback, they got clear that people wanted to post content. And so that's what they started doing. Starbucks originally did not sell fresh brewed coffee. They sold espresso machines and beans. That was 1971. In 1983, Howard Schultz, the CEO, went to Italy, was at a cafe there, and just fell in love with the whole idea of coffee in a cafe and specialty coffees, and we know what happened with Starbucks. One on every corner. It exploded with success. Anybody know what Play-Doh originally was for? It was a cleaner of the black residue from coal heaters. That there would be black residue on the walls, and they would put Play-Doh all over, and when you pulled it off, all the black residue would come off. Well, we know what happened with the coal industry, with gas and oil, and so they were trying to figure out, what do we do next? Then they heard of a teacher that was using they called it Cutall, the cleaner, for arts and crafts with the kids. And so they changed from Cutall to Play-Doh, and still today, that started in 1930, still today, over $2 billion in sale. I mean, one of the things I really want to impress upon you, you don't need to know every step. In fact, it's good that you don't know every step, because if you did know every single step, there would be no need for faith or believing or taking a risk or a chance. There'd be no need to learn or discover or create. Life would be less of an adventure if we knew every single step in advance. It is a good and wonderful thing, but we need to learn how to get there. And the way to do it is to simply start. Start. When you're committed to the what and the why, the how will be revealed. So first step in ruling the 1% rule is to learn how to get there. And the second thing is to create some urgency. How many people ever had 2 weeks to complete a project or read something, to write something, and you waited till the last minute? Anybody ever do that? How many people here ever crammed for exams in high school or college? Anybody crammers? But how many people would also admit that you get more work done when there's a deadline and your back is against the wall? How many people? It doesn't sound like it's an important thing, but quite frankly, urgency is vital in achievement and success, because it keeps us from wasting our time and procrastinating, and it helps us stay focused, and it helps us stay driven. John Cotter from the Harvard Business School wrote a book, and it's called A Sense of Urgency. And he said that urgency is needed for success at every area of life, and in fact, more urgency is needed when the stakes get higher and your goals get bigger. But the deal is, we actually have to create. We actually have to create our own urgency. And so here are some ways to create urgency. Take the 90-day thing and make it 60. Or another one is declare it to the world, declare it to people that I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it out there. A third one is develop a mastermind group of people that you tell your goals, they support you, you support them, and there's some accountability in there. And the third thing that creates some urgency is to look back at our life and say, am I really living the life I want to live? What have I done so far? And really, what do I want to do with the next stage? Because the reality is, the clock is ticking for all of us. We are not meant to be here forever. And one of the things about urgency, it's not trying to create stress or anxiety or pressure, but it's trying to say, so what do you want to do with your time? Are you willing to make your goals and your dreams your priority while you have this particular time of which we have no idea how long it is? And we could use urgency to make us do things we sometimes take for granted, like telling the people in our lives that we love them, that we love them. It can help us in saying, hey, why am I worrying about this thing so much? Why am I creating so much drama? Urgency is about saying that I have a certain amount of time of which I don't know what. So how can I use it in the best way possible? And what would be the priorities? And am I really driven to achieve this and create this experience? And what are the ways that I could bring more light and love and goodness into the world while I'm here? And then the final way to rule the 1% rule is to make a change in you. Henry Ford once said that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. The fact is, most of us want our lives to change without changing. You know what I mean? But if we want our lives to change, that we need to change. And unless there's inner change, the outer change is not going to last. Most of us would like to just say Shazam, and then our lives will change, but it really won't last very long. Somebody once said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. If we want our lives to get better, we need to change. And there needs to be an inner change. Everybody remember the parable of the new wine in old wineskin in the book of Matthew? It's a very, very powerful parable about this. And so what it says that new wine cannot go in old wineskin. And the reason is old wineskin is stretched. And old wineskin is rigid, and old wineskin is inflexible. But new wine expands. With the fermentation process, it produces carbon dioxide gas. It has to have room. So if you put new wine in old wineskin, the old wineskin will burst and it will waste the wine. And so for new wine, it needs new wineskin so it could have the capacity to expand and develop the full flavor and be protected and not wasted. Similarly, that new thoughts in an old mindset will not last. That a new thought has to be in a mindset that can expand, not one that is rigid for it to have greater success. And so we really need to make sure we ask, what is the new wineskin? What is the new consciousness I have to develop so that the ideas or the wine within can have the room to expand and grow and be developed? Does that make sense? Okay, even if it doesn't, that's what I've got. So that's pretty well. So my question for you is, when you think about your vision, what is the mindset or consciousness you have to expand to have greater success? What is something you need to accept or heal or let go? What wisdom or insight do you need to gain to get that consciousness to fully support the kind of life you want to have? Because that consciousness needs to change. You can have anything you want in your life, but first you must become it in consciousness. They always say that people who win lotteries, millions, that a year later they tend to lose it. It's part of it, I would say, it's because they don't have the consciousness of abundance, of how to handle with and live and manage to that level of wealth. And so for whatever it is we want, we need to think, what's the inner change? What's the expansion in my mindset and my perspective and my awareness and my confidence that I need to change to support this dream that I have? I'll tell you, when you hear things about goal setting and intention like this, clear vision, do deep work with focused attention and intentional action, I'll tell you, the greatest thing we could do for ourselves to get the most out of those things is to empty your mind regularly. Focus is important. Intention is important. Clarity is important. But we are the vehicle through which it comes, and the best thing we could do to help ourselves be more successful is to just empty and quiet ourselves. Just be still and relax. To let go once a day for 5 minutes. Just let go of whatever we're holding on to. Whether it's our goals or dreams or just let it all go. The Beatitude that said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It means blessed are those who empty themselves of all human concerns and thoughts, for they will be in the presence of the kingdom of heaven. So the more we empty and let go, the more we open a space for God to be a channel. We become a channel of light. We can be filled with love. St. Francis said it beautifully. He said, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That the more we can open ourselves to be a channel and a vehicle and a path, guess what? More love and wisdom and goodness can come and flow through us with greater ease. You know, one of the things is you can have anything you want if you're willing to do the work. The physical work, the emotional work, and the mental work. Your business can go great if you're willing to do the work. Your relationship can be improved if you're willing to do the work. Your health, your happiness, your spiritual connection, all of them can improve if you're willing to do the work. The one thing I think the 1% rule shows is there's power in consistent daily work. In taking daily consistent actions, there is incredible power. You don't have to hit a home run. You just got to stay in the game consistently day after day. You know what a big shot is? A big shot is just a little shot that kept shooting. And this is what you got to do. Just consistent little actions. In the long run, it pays off hugely. The 1% rule works if you work it. I was watching TV the other day and I saw a Burger King commercial. And their little slogan is like, BK, have it your way. And it ends with, you rule. I love that. I don't know what it means, but it sounds fantastic. I mean, like, you're amazing. You're powerful. You are in charge. You're the boss. You're the king of your kingdom. You're the queen of your queendom. You rule. How empowering is that? In the book of Genesis, it says God gave us dominion and authority over all things. That's God's way of saying, you rule. When it comes to your thoughts, you rule. When it comes to your words, you rule. When it comes to your attitude, you rule. When it comes to how you react to the adversity in life, you rule. When it comes to your happiness and your peace of mind, you rule. When it comes to how kind and generous and compassionate you are, you rule. Whatever conditions or situation you find yourself in, you rule. Somerset Maugham, the great English writer, wrote a story about a janitor at St. Peter's Church in London, and one day one of the young vicars found out he was illiterate and fired him. And then the jobless man went and invested a little bit of money he had in a tobacco store, and then over several months it did well, and he got a second tobacco store and another, and he ended up being worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and his banker said, "You're amazing. You know, you're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you've done so well, and you're illiterate. Could you imagine where you'd be and what you'd be doing if you could read and write?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd be the janitor at St. Peter's Church." And the point I'm trying to make is nobody has perfect conditions. Nobody has ideal circumstances, but it's what you do with it. Everything doesn't go our way, but guess what? In every situation, we have a choice of how we act, we react, how we show up. You're a powerful creator, so you don't need to wait till New Year's to create a resolution to discover the 1% daily impact rule has incredible power to change our lives. The time is now, and when it comes to your ability to create a better life and achieve great things, you rule. God bless you all. All right.